to keep your days unhappy or to remain in cognitive dissonance. I feel like I move through majority of life with people around me telling me what I quote unquote already know, but don't have the specific skill sets to apply it in my day-to-day life. I have been the type of person who becomes very avoidant when met with something or someone that kind of brings me any sort of discomfort. And I'm not really seeing how it shows up in my day-to-day interactions and relationship with people because I am being so avoidant to the point where I really don't know their own point of view on something. I'm constantly formulating ideas in my mind that kind of prove to me that this is what this person feels about me, and it feels like I am carrying that belief system through my own self, so it doesn't even come to the point, in fact, where yes, I know that I am probably thinking that I know everything about this specific person's point of view of me, but I am still not bringing it to the table because I fear of my own perception being wrong because of my own belief systems that make me feel that my point of view is right because I am seeing from two people's perspectives when it is only my perspective combating my own perspective. I move through my day-to-day with a mindset that I want to heal and I want to make better on a day-to-day basis, but I'm still stuck in my bubble of how limited of time there is in this world and how it just feels difficult to show up every day. And though I try to make it seem like it doesn't really exist, it's still really prevalent in my daily tasks, such as how I dissociate from time to time or just refuse myself of this childhood, this teenage self because I don't think I deserve it, or I don't think that like I'm living my life right. I don't think that like it's so confusing because there's so many different perspectives on how we're supposed to live via our parents, our peers, our classmates, our co-workers, and we see how these people move through their day-to-day, and it seems like they're all in commune, they're all like enjoying themselves, and I isolate myself so much to the point where I believe that I really don't exist in this world rather than a vessel for people to project onto me. And I feel like that really has carried through how my upbringing was, in the terms in which that people treated me as I was a kid, and I really didn't know better, and I didn't know how to communicate that point of view, that mindset, because I was always taught that people who were older than me knew more than me, when I'm now looking at the people I'm around, and yes, they may know more about the world. However, their perspective on certain things have been limited in the conditioning of what they have seen. And what we're seeing in the world now with how kids are is really different than how they were raised, because we were basically brought up on media. We were basically brought up with tablets and iPads, and we are so isolated on the way that we actually are and in the way that we actually interact with the world and the people around us. We don't even have a real perspective on how we interact with others and how others are supposed to interact with us, because we are so afraid of being and showing up as ourselves. Like, we all have this copy and paste kind of view on how we are supposed to be, and it doesn't leave space for us to actually explore different aspects of ourselves, because we are afraid we're gonna get judged for X, Y, and Z. And I feel like that's kind of what I've been moving through in this time period. I'm really scared right now. This is why I'm making this video in the first place, because I just started watching Jennifer's Body. I've never watched it before. I'm 18 and I've never watched Jennifer's Body, and it's kind of like showing me how I feel like I viewed teenage life as a kid, and now, like, actually being a teenager and watching that movie, I'm like, in some aspects, I lived vicariously through the things I watched on media. Though I was isolating myself in some certain instances, the way that girls are with boys and stuff like that, I tend to stay away from guys in the first place. But in this past year, I wanted to touch my little feet in the water, and I got bitten by a shark or two, and I had such a enclosed perspective on myself that I forgot that I was being perceived by others. I forgot that I am a person that can and is perceived by others, and I didn't know how to, number one, fully communicate how I naturally am. Like, I didn't really have the space to. It was really just all surrounded by fear. Every interaction I touched surrounding a man was engulfed with a fear of some sort. And I don't know, it really goes to show, in which I did not know before, how society functions today. I thought that I knew more about, like, how people are, to the fact where if they tell you something about themselves, you must believe them, like, because it is the showing of self. But that's not really true. That's not really the case. It's more, number one, character than, you know, the what they actually talk, and if they actually walk the walk of what they talk. And I didn't give space and time for that to be perceived. I kind of jumped into the unknown, just wanting to be, I feel, accepted in some way. And I don't know if my own experiences can help anybody in a way, but I want to be a kind of guiding light for people who are unaware based on the conditioning that have been brought upon, because I know that if I would have this kind of guidance in a way of how I'm supposed to, not supposed to, but what will be beneficial for me to view about myself in the way that I can change them about how I am and how I interact with the world, I would 100% accept that and want to explore those options. But it isn't just something that is taught and brought up and accepted in a lot of communities. As I was watching Jennifer's Body, I was really scared that some people may perceive me as a witch for how I explore myself and how I interact with the world. Like, nobody knows what I'm doing behind closed doors. You know what I mean? Nobody knows. And I post these specific things about myself. I post my poetry. I post what I feel. I post just little clips of me doing whatever throughout the day, and how I fear I may be perceived, and how I want to combat other people's perceptions of me, knowing that I am putting myself out there to be perceived. So I know when somebody may be using their perception of me against me, you know. But I just want to be a certain kind of force that people won't just view as weak because I have this one way of being, and that just can't be. People are really vicious out there, and I wish I not only remembered how vicious people are, but also had more confidence within myself to shut out and ignore and kind of accept that not everybody is going to like me for the way I want to show up, but I have to know how and when I should show up, and that should be all the fucking time. Like, I just can't close myself out from other people's perceptions because I fear them. And I don't know where the fear of being perceived stems from. Maybe it's because I was very, like, I had this expectation to be perfect, but because I exuded perfection, like I was just this nice, quiet child, I was kind of overlooked in the way that I was feeling internally, and I didn't know how to fully vocalize that. So I feel like that's where that kind of cognitive dissonance kind of plays a part in the way that I view things. However, I want to open my mind up more to others' perceptions and to share what perception is. Thank you for viewing me for this short period of time, like I see. And this is not my poetry, but something.